All right, so just be careful when you're walking down this way that you don't trip over the doo-doo-doo. But I have a YouTube channel out there that I go and I post my videos out there. So it usually is after class that I'll go out there. You're good. And all I have is the screen up here. And everything that I do today, I'll go out there and I'll post under today. But I'll shoot you an email and let you know what the link is. That way, if you want to watch it, fine. If you don't want to watch it, fine. But it's good if you're not, if you're absent, at least you can go back and look and see what we did. All right, here is a look at what's to come in the next couple of weeks. Today is the 18th. A week from Wednesday is your next scheduled assessment. That's just like that first one where you come in, we have 30 questions, you take it in one class period. Your goal is to make what you had on your pie before you took it. Now, I want everybody to have a 50% or higher by Wednesday of next week, because that's about our 50% mark of the semester. Y'all, we're halfway done with the semester. It's crazy. Spring break is right around the corner. Y'all have a week off that week. The week of March 11th. Y'all have a week off. Yeah, spring break. That is our spring break week. Yay. We don't have spring break with the high schools. We have our own spring break. Because our semester ends, y'all's last day of lecture is May 1st. And y'all's exam week is the first week in May. So we can't have our spring break week with the high schools because they don't get out until June. So if we did our spring break with theirs, y'all would be having your spring break like the week before exams. So this is our spring break week. The hub and stuff will be open that week. So if you need to play catch up on your pie, that'll be good for a little catch up break. But I kind of wanted to give you that visual of what's coming up. All right. Now, we were finishing up, is that the water leaking? It's driving me crazy. I'm gonna put some. Yeah, it just drives me crazy. I'm gonna try to put some, it's hitting the bottom. I'll put some stuff in there so it maybe won't put the, getting ready to slap somebody for making some noise. I know. Yeah. Is that any better? Not really. I know.
Hello. You blowing up down.
See if that's better. I'll put it side by side and we'll see. All right. So we were getting down to, this is the second half of Module 2. We have 26 pages in this module. Some of it will go fast because we've already done it. But I want to make sure that everybody sees it. What we're talking about here, and we actually did it last time, it says we want to go from percentages into decimals. So to go from percentages to decimals, what do we do? Whoop whoop. Which way are we whoop whooping? Where are my whoop whoops? My whoop whoop is on that side, on the left. We're going to whoop whoop to the left. Now, y'all, they gave me two numbers in this problem. The only one they want me to look at is the percent. It says rewrite the percent. So they want me to turn the percent into a decimal. I don't care about that other number. So they want me to take the 3% and they want me to turn it into a decimal. So I'm going to whoop whoop to the left. Now, it ain't got no whoop whoop. So I don't have a decimal. So where does the decimal go if there's not one there? Behind it. And I'm going to whoop, whoop. So it's now there. I fill in that missing zero. So my answer is going to be 0.03. And if you want to put that front zero, you can. You don't have to. Now, the next one says rewrite the decimal into a percent. Turn your decimal into a percent. So for this one, we're going to whoop to the right because your percentage is on this side. So we're going to pick up our decimal and we're going to whoop to the right. So what's my answer going to be? 52.1. All they did was put it in a word form, a sentence form. Are we good with those, or you want to do another one?
Do another.
Do another one. All right, let's look at this one. Turn the percentage into a decimal. Whoop to the left. Where does my decimal start? Behind the zero, and I whoop to the left. So what's my answer going to be? 0.30. Again, if you want to put the zero in front, you can, but you don't have to. The second one says, turn the decimal into a percent. What am I going to do? Whoop to the right. Pick up my decimal and whoop to the right. What's my answer? 8.8. And again, Alex is going to do it as a multiply by 100 or divide by 100. I just can never remember when to multiply and when to divide. All right, writing a percentage as a fraction. Because on your test, you're not going to have a ton of these in a row, and you're not going to have, so you've got to know, okay, I need it as a fraction. It is telling me to write it as something over something. So you've got to remember, what does percent mean? What does percent mean? Divide by 100. So a 54% means 54 over 100. And then it says in simplest form. So how do we do in simplest form? And do what? Math, enter. So 54% means, oh, I didn't have my calculator. 54% means 54 over 100, and then math, enter. So 35% is going to be 35 over 100, and then we're going to do our math, enter. So we can't memorize, and that's why some of us are going down on our pi, is because we're memorizing for the moment. 54 over 100, math, enter. 35 over 100, math, enter. So my first answer is going to be 27 over 50. My second answer is going to be 7 over 20. Oh, we made a decimal answer. We still are writing it as a fraction. So we still have to know that percent means out of 100. So we made a 72.5 out of 100. We made a 4.75 out of 100. And to get it in simplest form, Alex is going to tell you you've got to multiply by this or move your decimal this many times. We're going to math, enter. 4.75 out of 100, math, enter. Here's my first answer. Here's my second answer. We don't need to move the decimals. We don't need to multiply by 10 or multiply by 100 or move the decimal 2 times. Math, enter is how we're going to get our simplest form every single time. Cool? Now, we need to turn into a percentage. percent.
Which is like that to the right.
We got a whoop whoop. Well, what do you have to whoop whoop? A decimal. So to get 7/81 into a percent, we gotta first make it a decimal, so then we can get our whoop whoop on. So I'm gonna go to my calculator and I'm gonna do 7/81, and I'm gonna turn it into a decimal. Move this down. So I turned this fraction into a decimal. I now am going to take this decimal and turn it into a percent by moving my decimal 2 times to the right, because the decimal's written over here. So if I move my decimal 2 times to the right, it's going to give me 8.6419, blah, 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 blah. And it says round to the nearest tenth. It would be 8.6%. So I turned my fraction into a decimal so then I can get my whoop whoop on. My fraction turned into a decimal and then I got my whoop whoop on. Because every time I see percent, I think whoop whoop, or either I think over 100. And they didn't want over 100, they didn't want a fraction. They wanted me to get to the nearest tenth, which is a whoop whoop. Let's look at another one. It says write the fraction as a percent, round to the nearest tenth, which is telling me they want a decimal. So I'm going to get my fraction and turn it into a decimal so I can get that decimal and whoop whoop. And it's going to be whoop whoop to the right because it's written on the right hand side. So in my calculator, I'm going to do 6 divided by 65. So this turns my fraction into a decimal. So my fraction is now a decimal. So I need to take that decimal and turn it into a percentage. Pick up your decimal and move it 2 times to the right. Whoop whoop. So it's going to be 9.2307 blah, 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 blah. I did my whoop whoop. Now I need to round it to the nearest tenth. My answer is going to be 9.2%. So I have to get a decimal in order to get my whoop whoop on to turn it into a percentage. Yay? They put it in a sentence, y'all. Rewrite the fraction as a percent. What do we have to do first?
We need to divide.
We've got to divide to make it a what?
Decimal.
We've got to divide to make it a decimal. 23 divided by 50. We are not done yet. All we did was change it from a fraction to a decimal. They don't want it a decimal, they wanted a percent. So we have to turn that decimal into a percent by picking up our decimal and whoop whooping to the right. Whoop whoop. What's my final answer? 46%. And you don't have to write the decimal at the end. I'm just writing it so that you know where it ended up. That I picked it up and I moved it.
So you say we don't have to put the decimal in?
You don't have to put the decimal if it ends up at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, so you could have just written 46%. So it's like $46. You don't have to write it if it ends up at the end. Cool? Now, this next one, let me see. This next one you can do a couple of different ways. I'm going to skip it and I'm going to come to this one because I'd rather you know how to do this one. What is this one screaming besides skip me? What's that one screaming? Anybody know?
Wait a minute. Oh,
Who? What is it screaming?
is it what? You have to-
It is screaming a proportion. What proportion specifically is it screaming?
20.4 over 120?
Let me pull up my formula sheet for just a second. And we haven't used our formula sheet a whole lot yet, but we're fixing to start using it. Let me come out here to syllabus and handouts, and let me grab my formula sheet. The purple one. Up until now, we haven't used this formula sheet for anything. We are now starting to use the formula sheet. All right, off this formula sheet, we are going to use this right here. Is over of equals percent over 100. This is on the formula sheet. On the formula sheet. Now, the reason this problem is screaming is over of equals percent over 100. When you have a short, cute little problem with a couple of numbers and the words is of or percent, a short, cute problem is of and a percent symbol, that is always screaming that formula. Is over of equals percent over 100. When it's short, cute, couple of numbers, is of percent. Short, cute, is of and percent. That's an is over of problem. Okay? Alex will show you 45 different ways to work this problem. We're not going to do those 45 ways. We're going to do is over of equals percent over 100. Now, part A and part B. Is over of equals percent over 100. Is over of equals percent over 100. Now, when you do these problems, you always start with the numbers at the beginning or the end of the sentence. I started off easy. My numbers are at the beginning and the end of the sentence. Where do you think that number's going? The is, the of, or the percent? The percent, because 120%. 120%. So 120 is my percent. And percent is always over 100 because we said percent means out of 100. Now, we have one more number left in part A. That is next to the word is. So that is going to go in my is spot. Now, look what's left, and I'm going to highlight it so you can kind of see it. 120% is 20.4, and then it says of what? So my of is what I don't know. And then I will cross multiply. This times this divided by that. Okay? Now, in the next one, I'm going to cross multiply in just a second. In the next one, 21.12 is next to what word? 21.12 is next to what word? Is. So 21.12 is going to be your is. Where do you think 82.5 is going to go? What is 82.5 next to? What word? 82.5 is next to the word of. And look what's left. What percent? So what are we trying to find? The percent. We cross multiply. This times this divided by that. So when I go to my calculator for the first problem, in my calculator for the first one, it will be 20.4 times 100 divided by 120. For the second problem, it'll be 21.12 times 100 divided by 82.5. Now, when you're solving for the is or the of, for the first problem, I'm solving for the of. So your answer is just going to be 17. For the second problem, I'm solving for the percent. It says what percent. So when I put that one in, I have to put a percent sign behind it. There's your answer. So you only put a percent sign if your X is in the percent spot. But if your X is in any other spot, you don't put the percent sign. Let's look at another one. Part A, is over of equals percent over 100. Part B, is over of equals percent over 100. Always start with numbers at the beginning or the end of the problem. So where do you think 52.5 is going? 52.5 is going where? What is 52.5 next to?
And it's your of.
And I say, have a lot of people say of. 52.5 is a percent. So 52.5 is going to be your percent. Your only other number is 25.83. Where is 25.83 going? What is 25.83 next to? Is. So 25.83 is your is. Look at what's left. It says of what? So your of is what you don't know. Now, don't start with the number in the middle of the sentence. Go to the beginning and the end of the sentence. So for part B, what number am I going to start with?
17.
Don't start with the number in the middle of the sentence. Start with the number at the beginning or the end of the sentence. 20.4, what is it next to?
Yes.
And the reason I said don't start with the number in the middle of the sentence, because if you would have started with 17, you would have said, oh, it's next to two words. So by starting here, this is next to the word is. So you know that's going to go there. And is already taken. So where does the 17 go? Be confident. Of 17. So what's left? What percent? So is going to be 24. Of is going to be 17. And what is going to be my percent? Is 20.4. Of 17. What percent? And I'm going to cross multiply. Multiply the two numbers that are diagonally across, divide by the loner. Multiply the two numbers that are diagonally across, divide by the loner. .83 times 100 divided by 52.5. There's your first answer. 20.4 times 100 divided by 17. There's your second answer. Now, for the first answer, do I need a percent sign? No, because we're finding the of, so we do not need a percent sign. For the second answer, do I need a percent sign? For the second answer, I do need a percent sign because I'm solving for a percent. Is of percent over 100. Let's do one more because then we're venturing out to other kinds of word problems. So we need to make sure we know these. Is over of equals percent over 100. A. And then is over of equals percent over 100. J. Where does the 70 go?
E.
Very good. Lucky, where does the 43.75 go? Good. That means that all we have left is no number. That means we're solving for the percent. Next one. Terry, where does the 25.83 go?
25.83%.
What is 25.83 next to?
Is.
There you go. 25.83 is your is. Colonel, where's the 52.5 go?
Oh.
What is 52.5 next to?
Goes under the 25.2.
What is 55.5 next to?
It is. It's next to a percent, I'm sorry.
There you go. That gets everybody. That gets everybody. They see that word because they're looking for a word. And they don't see that that percent is all up in the grill. 52.5. 52.5 is your percentage. And then it says of what? So my of is what I don't know. Is it clicking a little better? Then we're going to multiply the two numbers we don't know and divide by the loaner. Multiply the two numbers we don't know and divide by the loaner. So, I'm going to do, for the first one, 70 times 100 divided by 43.75. And for the next one, 25.83 times 100 divided by 52.5. Do either one of those need a percent sign behind it? Which one needs a percent sign?
The A1.
The A needs a percent sign because I am solving for percent for A.
So 160.
So this is going to be my A answer. Here, I'm solving for the of. Of is just a regular number. It does not need a percent sign. Is and of don't need anything. Feeling better?
But the percent sign is always going to be in the right upper corner, or not necessarily?
Yes, percent sign's always going to be over 100. Yes, is over of, percent over 100. Yep. So we know that there is over of when they're short, cute, have the words is, of, percent, and two numbers. Now, we're going to be getting into longer problems now. Okay? This is not an is over of, because it's not short, cute with a couple of words. This is a longer problem. The good news is, and most of you didn't know this, which you got through it anyway, but this will make your life easier. Over here, right with is over of. Okay? Is over of is just used for what is 5% of 10. A over B, same format. A over B is used for all the longer word problems. So if you're talking about a tip in a meal, or if you're talking about part of the whole, or if you're talking about sales tax, or difference, or discount, or commission, that's the longer word problems. So these are all the things that A can be. These are all the things that B can be. And percent can be called percent or rate. So this problem says, suppose that an individual has a body fat percentage of 13.7 and he weighs 164 pounds. How many pounds of his weight is made up of fat? Now, is this problem talking about leaving a tip for a meal? Is it talking about commission? Is it talking about discounting an item? Something on sale? Is it talking about the difference between two things? Something was on sale and now it's this?
No.
Is it talking about sales tax? Is it talking about part of his body is fat and his whole body is this? This is a part and a whole. Okay? I'm going to do more of these, Lucky. Don't give me the crappy face. So this problem is part because that's your A, over whole, that's your B, equals percent over 100. Now we have to identify. Your percent is easy peasy to find. Where does your percent go? Over the 100.